See, here is what most people do not understand. They live their whole life being slaves to how they feel in the moment. If they feel like working out, they work out. If they feel like eating healthy, they eat healthy. If they feel like being productive, they get something done. But what happens when you do not feel like it? What happens then? I will tell you what happens. Nothing, absolutely nothing gets done. You think every morning I wake up feeling like a champion. You think every day I am full of energy and motivation. Let me tell you something. Some mornings I wake up and I feel like doing absolutely nothing. But I got a plan, and that plan does not care about my mood. Your mood changes every hour, but your goals require consistency that lasts months and years. Think about how many different emotions you experience in just one single day. You wake up tired. Then maybe you get a little energy after your coffee. Then something frustrates you at work and you get angry. Then you see something funny and you laugh. Then you get stressed about your bills. Then you feel hopeful about a new opportunity. Your emotions are up and down like a roller coaster that never stops moving. Now imagine if you made every decision based on those changing feelings. Imagine if your business strategy changed every time your mood changed. Imagine if your fitness routine depended on whether you felt energetic or not. Imagine if your commitment to your family shifted based on whether you felt patient or irritated. You would never build anything solid. You would never create anything lasting. Your life would be chaos. But your goals do not care about any of that emotional noise. Your goal to lose 50 pounds does not care if you wake up craving donuts. Your goal to build a successful business does not care if you feel discouraged on a Tuesday afternoon. Your goal to provide a better life for your family does not care if you feel overwhelmed on a Friday evening. Goals require something that most people are not willing to give, and that is steady, consistent, repetitive action over long periods of time. We are not talking about days or weeks. We are talking about months and years of showing up and doing the work regardless of how you feel. That is what separates the people who achieve extraordinary things from the people who just talk about achieving them. Your mood today might tell you that you are on top of the world. Your mood tomorrow might tell you that you are a complete failure. Both of those moods are lying to you. The truth is somewhere in the middle, and the truth is that your daily actions matter more than your daily feelings. When you commit to consistency regardless of your emotional state, you tap into a power that most people never discover. See, consistency is the compound interest of self-improvement. Every day you stick to your plan, even when you do not feel like it, you are depositing your future. You might not see the results immediately, but those deposits are accumulating, they are building, they are creating momentum that will eventually become unstoppable. Most people give up right before the breakthrough because they let their mood determine their actions. They have 3 good days, then 1 bad mood, and they quit. They have 2 good weeks, then they feel tired and they stop. They do not realize that the person who wins is not the person who never feels like quitting. The winner is the person who keeps going even when quitting feels like the most reasonable option in the world. Successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do, and that includes working when they do not feel like it. Let me break this down for you real simple. Unsuccessful people work when they feel inspired. Successful people work whether they feel inspired or not. Unsuccessful people go to the gym when they feel motivated. Successful people go to the gym because it is Tuesday and Tuesday is gym day. Unsuccessful people are kind to others when they are in a good mood. Successful people are kind to others because that is who they decided to be. You see the difference. One group lets its internal weather determine its actions. The other group decides who they are and what they do, and they stick to that decision regardless of how they feel. This is not complicated, but it is hard. It is hard because your brain is constantly trying to conserve energy and avoid discomfort. Your brain is going to give you very convincing reasons why you should skip today. It is going to tell you that you worked hard yesterday, so you deserve a break. It is going to remind you that you are tired. It is going to show you your comfortable bed or your comfortable couch and make it look really appealing. And if you listen to those voices, you will stay average forever. But here is what unsuccessful people do not understand: the work you do when you do not feel like it counts double. When you push through resistance, you are not just accomplishing the task. You are rewiring your brain. You are teaching yourself that you are the kind of person who keeps commitment. You are building an identity as someone who cannot be stopped by something as flimsy as a bad mood. Think about the most successful people you know or know about. You think they feel like working every single day. You think they wake up excited about every meeting, every workout, every difficult conversation they need to have. Of course not. They are human just like you. But what makes them different is that they do it anyway. They do it anyway. Those 3 words right there are worth more than 1,000 motivational quotes. I do not care how you feel. I do not care if you are tired. I do not care if you are scared. I do not care if you are unsure. Do it anyway. That is the whole secret. That is the entire game. When you adopt this mindset, everything changes. You stop waiting for conditions to be perfect. You stop waiting to feel ready. You stop making excuses based on your emotional state. You just look at your plan, see what needs to be done next, and you do it. Simple, not easy, but simple. The plan you made when you were motivated must be executed when you are not. This right here is critical. Think about when you made your plan. Maybe you had just finished reading an inspiring book. Maybe you had just watched a powerful video. Maybe you had just experienced a moment of clarity where you could see your life as it could be instead of as it is. In that moment, you were thinking clearly. You were connected to your purpose. You were focused on your vision. That version of you, that motivated, clear thinking, purpose-driven version of you, that is who created your plan. That person knew what needed to be done. That person understood the stakes. That person was willing to commit to doing hard things because they could see why those hard things mattered. But here is what happens. Days pass. Weeks pass. That motivational fire starts to fade. You are back in the grind of daily life. You are tired from work. You are stressed about money. You are frustrated with setbacks. You are annoyed by obstacles. And in that state, you start to question the plan. You start to think maybe you were being unrealistic. Maybe you were asking too much of yourself. This is the critical moment. This is where most people abandon their dreams. They listen to their current unmotivated self instead of trusting their previous motivated self. They forget that the person who made the plan had the clarity they are currently lacking. They do not realize that this moment of doubt and fatigue is exactly why they needed a plan in the first place. Your plan is a message from your best self to your worst self. It is a message that says, I know there will be days when you do not feel like continuing. I know there will be times when you want to quit. I know you will doubt yourself. But I am writing this down now while I can think clearly to tell you to keep going. Do not trust your feelings in that moment. Trust me. Trust this plan. When you are in the valley, you cannot see the mountaintop. The view is blocked. The path is unclear. Everything looks difficult and pointless. But the plan was created from the mountaintop. It was created when you could see where you were going and why it mattered. So when you are in the valley, you do not need to see the whole path. You just need to take the next step that the plan tells you to take. This is an act of faith. Not religious faith necessarily, but faith in yourself. Faith that the version of you who made the plan knew what they were doing. Faith that your future self will thank you for pushing through. Faith that the process works even when you cannot see the results yet. Execute the plan. Trust the plan, especially when you do not feel like it. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you do not want to do it, especially when you do not want to do it. Discipline gets a bad reputation. People think discipline means being rigid or harsh or joyless. But discipline is actually freedom. Discipline is what frees you from being controlled by your emotions. Discipline is what frees you from the chaos of inconsistency. Discipline is what frees you to become who you are meant to be. Think about it like this. When you lack discipline, you are a slave to your impulses. You eat whatever you crave. You buy whatever you want. You say whatever you feel. You avoid whatever makes you uncomfortable. That might feel like freedom, but it is actually bondage. You are being controlled by forces you are not even aware of. Your habits control you. Your cravings control you. Your fears control you. But when you develop discipline, you take back control. You decide what you eat based on your goals, not your cravings. You decide how you spend money based on your values, not your impulses. You decide what you say based on your character, not your emotions. You decide what you do based on your plan, not your comfort level. Now, let me be clear. Discipline is not about perfection. You are going to have moments when you slip up. You are going to have days when you do not follow through perfectly. That is being human. But discipline means that when you mess up, you get back on track quickly. You do not let one bad meal become a bad week. You do not let one missed workout become a missed month. You acknowledge the slip, learn from it, and immediately return to the plan. The beautiful thing about discipline is that it gets easier with practice. The first time you do something you do not want to do, it is hard, really hard. Your whole body is fighting you. Your mind is screaming at you to stop, but you do it anyway. And the next time it is still hard, but maybe slightly less hard. And the time after that, slightly less hard again. Eventually, discipline becomes a habit. It becomes part of who you are. You become the kind of person who does what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. And once you reach that point, you become unstoppable. No obstacle can permanently block you because you know how to push through resistance. This is how ordinary people create extraordinary results. They are not necessarily more talented. They are not necessarily smarter. They are not necessarily luckier, but they are more disciplined. They have trained themselves to keep moving when everyone else stops. And that discipline, practiced over months and years, creates a gap between them and everyone else that becomes impossible to close. Your emotions will always take the path of least resistance, but your dreams are on the difficult path. Your emotions are designed to keep you safe and comfortable. That is their job. Back when humans lived in caves and were worried about being eaten by predators, emotions that pushed you towards safety and away from risk kept you alive. Fear kept you from doing dangerous things. The desire for comfort kept you in the safety of the cave. These emotions served an important survival function. But here is the problem. We are not living in caves anymore. We are not running from predators. The things we are afraid of now are not actual threats to our survival. We are afraid of rejection, embarrassment, failure, and judgment. These things cannot kill you, but your emotional system treats them like they can. So your emotions are still trying to keep you safe and comfortable, even when safe and comfortable means staying stuck. Your dreams, on the other hand, require you to do uncomfortable things. Your dreams require you to risk rejection. Your dreams require you to try things you might fail at. Your dreams require you to be seen and possibly judged. Your dreams require you to leave the cave and venture into unknown territory. And every step of the way, your emotions are going to be pulling you back towards safety and comfort. This creates an internal conflict that you have to understand if you are going to achieve anything significant. One part of you wants to grow, achieve, and become more. Another part of you wants to stay safe, avoid pain, and remain comfortable. These two parts are at war, and whichever one you feed is the one that wins. When you follow your emotions and choose the path of least resistance, you are feeding the part of you that wants to stay small. You are reinforcing the neural pathways that tell your brain to avoid discomfort. You are training yourself to be controlled by fear and laziness. And the more you do this, the stronger those patterns become. But when you choose the difficult path, when you do the hard thing, even though your emotions are screaming at you to stop, you are feeding the part of you that wants to grow. You are creating new neural pathways. You are proving to yourself that you can handle discomfort. You are building evidence that you are capable of more than you thought. Here is the truth that nobody wants to hear. The path to your dreams is supposed to be difficult. If it were easy, everyone would do it. The difficulty is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. The difficulty is confirmation that you are on the right path. Easy paths lead to average destinations. Difficult paths lead to extraordinary destinations. Your emotions will always vote for easy. Your purpose requires you to choose the difficult. You must be the master of your emotions, not the servant of them. There is a relationship between you and your emotions, and you need to understand what that relationship is. Most people have made their emotions the master and themselves the servant. Their emotions tell them what to do, and they obey. Emotion says be angry, and they get angry. Emotion says be lazy, and they get lazy. Emotion says quit, and they quit. But it is supposed to be the other way around. You are supposed to be the master. Your emotions are supposed to serve you by providing information, but not by making decisions. When you feel angry, that emotion is giving you information that something feels unjust or threatening. But you get to decide how to respond to that information. You are in charge. This is not about suppressing emotions or pretending you do not feel things. That is unhealthy and does not work. This is about acknowledging your emotions, understanding what they are trying to tell you, and then making a conscious choice about how to act. You can feel tired and still choose to work. You can feel afraid and still choose to move forward. You can feel discouraged and still choose to persist. The problem is that most people have never practiced this. They have spent their whole lives being obedient servants to their emotional state. So the idea of feeling something and not immediately acting on it feels foreign. It feels almost impossible. But it is a skill, and like any skill, it can be developed with practice. Start small. Feel the urge to check your phone and choose to wait 5 minutes. Feel the craving for junk food and choose to drink water instead. Feel the desire to sleep in and choose to get up anyway. These small acts of mastery train your brain that you are in charge. You are not controlled by impulses. You are a person who makes conscious choices. As you practice this, something amazing happens. The emotions do not go away, but they lose their power over you. You can observe them without being controlled by them. You can feel fear and still take action. You can feel lazy and still be productive. You can feel doubtful and still stay committed. This is freedom. This is power. This is what separates people who control their lives from people whose lives control them. When you become the master of your emotions, you become the master of your destiny. Because your destiny is not determined by what happens to you. Your destiny is determined by how you respond to what happens to you. And your response is always a choice, no matter how you feel. Your plan is designed by your highest self, but your mood is controlled by your weakest self. Think about who you are at your best. Think about those moments when you feel clear, focused, and aligned with your purpose. Maybe it is early in the morning before the world gets loud. Maybe it is after a great conversation that inspires you. Maybe it is in a quiet moment when you can reflect on what really matters. In those moments, you are operating as your highest self. Your highest self can see the big picture. Your highest self is connected to your values. Your highest self understands that temporary discomfort leads to lasting growth. Your highest self is willing to sacrifice comfort today for success tomorrow. Your highest self knows what you are capable of and is not afraid to demand excellence from you. When you create a plan from this state, that plan reflects the best of who you are. It reflects your potential, not your limitations. It reflects your vision, not your fears. It is a plan worthy of the person you are becoming, not just the person you are today. This plan is a gift from your highest self to guide you through the times when you are not operating at that level, but your mood on any random Tuesday afternoon when you are tired and stressed, that mood is not coming from your highest self. That mood is coming from your weakest self. Your weakest self is the part of you that wants to avoid discomfort at all costs. Your weakest self is focused only on the next few hours, not the next few years. Your weakest self is reactive, impulsive, and short-sighted. Your weakest self will give you very compelling reasons to abandon the plan. It will tell you that the plan was unrealistic. It will tell you that you deserve a break. It will tell you that you can start again tomorrow. It will tell you that maybe this just is not meant to be. And if you listen to your weakest self, you will make decisions that feel good in the moment, but destroy your future. This is why you cannot make important decisions based on your current mood. Your mood in any given moment might be influenced by how much sleep you got, what you ate for lunch, whether someone cut you off in traffic, or 100 other trivial factors that have nothing to do with your actual goals and values. Why would you let those random factors determine the direction of your life? Trust the plan. The plan came from the version of you that could think clearly. The plan came from the version of you that wanted the best for your future. When your weak self tries to negotiate, tries to make excuses, tries to take the easy path, you remind yourself that you already made this decision. You made it when you were thinking clearly, and the decision was to stick to the plan no matter how you feel. Feelings-based decisions create temporary results, but plan-based decisions create lasting transformation. When you make a decision based on how you feel in the moment, you get a result that lasts about as long as that feeling. You feel motivated on Monday, so you have a great workout. You feel tired on Tuesday, so you skip the workout. You feel inspired on Wednesday, so you eat healthily all day. You feel stressed on Thursday, so you eat an entire pizza. This creates a pattern of inconsistency that never leads anywhere meaningful. You might have moments of progress, but they are always followed by moments of regression. You take 2 steps forward when you feel good and 3 steps back when you feel bad. Over the course of weeks and months, you end up right where you started. Maybe you even end up worse off because now you have also lost confidence in your ability to follow through on anything. This is the trap that most people live in their entire lives. They are always starting over, always beginning new diets, new workout plans, new business ideas, new personal development programs. They start with enthusiasm, make some progress, then let their mood derail them, and end up back at square one. They never build momentum because momentum requires consistency, and feelings-based decisions cannot create consistency. But when you make decisions based on a plan, everything changes. The plan says you work out 5 days a week. So you work out 5 days a week regardless of how you feel. Some days the workout is great, some days it is mediocre. But you do it week after week after week. And over time, your body starts to change. Your strength increases. Your endurance improves. You start to see real lasting results. The plan says you save a certain percentage of your income every month. So you save that percentage whether you feel like it or not. Some months, you really want to spend that money on something fun. Some months, it is easy to save. But you stick to the plan. Month after month after month. And over time, you build wealth. You create financial security. You open up options for your future that were not available before. The plan says you work on your business for 2 hours every evening. So you work on your business for 2 hours every evening, whether you feel inspired or not. Some evenings, the work flows easily. Some evenings, every word is like pulling teeth. But you do it evening after evening after evening. And over time, your business grows. Your skills improve. Your income increases. You create something real and valuable. See the difference? Feelings-based decisions keep you stuck in cycles of starting and stopping. Plan-based decisions create momentum that compounds over time into transformation. One approach keeps you busy but accomplishes nothing. The other approach might feel boring in the moment, but creates the life you actually want. What separates winners from quitters is not talent or luck. It is the ability to keep moving when everything in you wants to stop. Let me tell you something about winners. They are not special. They are not built differently from you. They have the same doubts, the same fears, the same moments of weakness. They get tired. They get discouraged. They want to quit. The only difference is that they do not quit. They keep moving. You think the person who built a successful business never wanted to quit. Of course, they wanted to quit, probably every single week in the beginning, when customers were complaining, when money was tight, when employees let them down, when competitors were beating them. In all those moments, quitting would have felt so much easier than continuing. You think the person who lost 100 pounds never wanted to give up. Of course, they wanted to give up every time they were sore, every time they were hungry, every time they stepped on the scale, it had not moved. Every time they saw other people eating whatever they wanted, they had to measure portions and count calories. In all those moments, giving up would have been so easy. You think the person who wrote a best-selling book never wanted to stop writing. Of course, they wanted to stop when the words were not coming, when the chapters were not working, when they rewrote the same section for the 10th time, when they wondered if anyone would even care about what they had to say. In all those moments, closing the laptop and walking away would have been the easier choice. But here is what they all understood. The moment when you want to quit is not the moment that defines you. Everyone has that moment. That moment is normal. That moment is expected. The moment that defines you is what you do next. Do you listen to that voice that says stop, or do you take one more step forward? Winners take one more step, and then another, and then another. They do not take those steps because they feel like it. They take those steps because they decided that their dream matters more than their discomfort. They take those steps because they are committed to their plan regardless of their mood. They take those steps because they understand that success is not about never wanting to quit. Success is about not quitting even when you want to. This is available to you right now. You do not need special genetics. You do not need to wait for perfect circumstances. You do not need anyone's permission. You just need to decide that the next time everything in you wants to stop, you are going to take one more step anyway. And then you need to prove that decision to yourself over and over again until it becomes who you are. Honor the promises you made to yourself when you were inspired, especially when you are tired. When you were inspired, you made promises to yourself. You promised you would lose the weight. You promised you would start the business. You promised you would write the book. You promised you would be a better parent, a better partner, a better version of yourself. Those promises meant something when you made them. Those promises came from a real place. But now you are tired. The inspiration has faded. The initial excitement has worn off. The reality of how much work is required has set in. And in this tired, uninspired state, it is very easy to forget about those promises. It is easy to think they do not really matter. It is easy to tell yourself that you will get back to it when you feel inspired again. But let me ask you something. What kind of person makes promises and then breaks them the moment things get hard? What kind of person commits to something and then abandons it when it stops feeling good? Is that who you want to be? Is that the example you want to set for your children, your friends, the people who look up to you? Your integrity is not measured by the promises you keep when it is easy. Anyone can do that. Your integrity is measured by the promises you keep when it is hard. When you honor your commitments, even when you are tired, even when you do not feel like it, even when it would be easier to quit, that is when you build real character. And here is something most people do not realize. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you damage your self-trust. You teach yourself that your word does not really mean anything. You prove to yourself that you cannot be counted on. And this creates a terrible cycle where you stop believing in your own ability to follow through on anything. But every time you honor a promise to yourself, especially when it is difficult, you build self-trust. You prove to yourself that you are reliable. You demonstrate that your word means something. You create evidence that you are the kind of person who does what you say you are going to do. And this self-trust becomes the foundation for everything else you want to build in your life. So when you are tired and you do not feel like continuing, Remember the promises you made. Remember why you made them. Remember who you committed to becoming. And then honor those promises not because it feels good, but because your integrity demands it. Because you are a person of your word. Because the promises you make to yourself are just as important as the promises you make to anyone else. Action comes before motivation, not the other way around. Start moving and the motivation will catch up. This is completely backwards from how most people think. Most people wait for motivation to show up before they take action. They think motivation is the starting point. They think they need to feel motivated first, and then they will be able to do the work. So they wait and wait and wait. And the motivation never comes, so the work never gets done. But successful people understand that it works the opposite way. Action is the starting point. You do not wait until you feel like doing something. You start doing it, and the feeling follows. This is how human psychology actually works. Motion creates emotion. Behavior influences feelings more than feelings influence behavior. Think about the last time you really did not want to work out, but you forced yourself to go to the gym anyway. What happened? The first few minutes were probably rough. You were dragging. Your body was resisting. Your mind was complaining. But then what happened? You got warmed up. Your blood started flowing. Endorphins started releasing. And somewhere in the middle of the workout, you actually started feeling good. You might have even thought, I am glad I came. That is because you started moving first, and the motivation showed up later. If you had waited at home for the motivation to show up before you went to the gym, you would still be sitting on your couch. But because you took action first, the motivation eventually caught up with you. This works in every area of life. You do not feel like making sales calls for your business. Start making them anyway. After the first few calls, you get into a rhythm. Your energy picks up. You might even start enjoying it. You do not feel like working on your creative project. Open the document and write one sentence anyway. That one sentence leads to another, then a paragraph. Then you look up and an hour has passed. The hardest part is always the starting. Once you are in motion, staying in motion is much easier. But you have to be willing to start before you feel ready. You have to be willing to move before you feel motivated. You have to understand that action is the cause and motivation is the effect. Stop waiting for the feeling. Create the feeling by taking action. Start moving and trust that your emotions will catch up. They might not catch up in the first minute. They might not catch up in the first 5 minutes. But if you keep moving, they will catch up. And even if they do not, you will still get the work done, which is the whole point anyway. Waiting until you feel ready is just fear dressed up as preparation. How many times have you told yourself you are not ready yet? You need to learn more first. You need to prepare more. You need to wait for the right time. You need to get more experience before you start. These all sound like reasonable, responsible things to say. But most of the time, they are just fear wearing a disguise. Fear does not want you to know it is fear because then you might confront it. So fear pretends to be something more acceptable. Fear pretends to be prudence. Fear pretends to be wisdom. Fear pretends to be preparation. And you believe it because it sounds so reasonable. Of course, you should be prepared before you start something new. That makes sense, right? But here is the problem. If you wait until you feel completely ready, you will wait forever. There is always more you could learn. There is always more you could prepare. There is always a reason why now might not be the perfect time. Fear will keep moving the goalpost. First, you need to read 3 books. Then you need to take a course. Then you need to save more money. Then you need to wait for a better time in your career. Then you need to wait until your kids are older. It never ends. You know what readiness actually looks like. Readiness looks like starting before you feel ready. Readiness looks like being willing to be bad at something before you get good at it. Readiness looks like taking action with incomplete information. Readiness looks like being uncomfortable and doing it anyway. The people who accomplish great things are not the people who waited until they felt ready. They are the people who started scared. They started unprepared. They started without knowing exactly how things would work out. But they started. And they learned along the way. They built the skills they needed by doing the thing, not by preparing to do the thing. You can prepare for years and still not feel ready. Or you can start today, mess up, learn from it, adjust, and keep going. Which approach do you think will get you to your goal faster? Which approach do you think will actually develop real skills and real confidence? Stop letting fear convince you that you need more preparation. You do not need to know everything before you start. You do not need to have everything figured out. You do not need perfect conditions. You just need to begin. Take the first step. Make the first call. Write the first page. Record the first video. Launch the imperfect version. Start before you feel ready, because that is what ready actually means. In moments of confusion and weakness, your plan becomes your compass pointing toward your destiny. There are going to be moments in your journey when you cannot see clearly. Moments when you are confused about what to do next. Moments when you doubt whether you are on the right path. Moments when you feel weak and uncertain. These moments are guaranteed. They are part of the process. The question is not whether you will face them. The question is what you will do when you face them. When you are in these moments, your emotions cannot help you. Your emotions are part of the confusion. You feel discouraged, so you wonder if you should quit. You feel uncertain, so you question your abilities. You feel overwhelmed, so everything seems impossible. Your emotional state in these moments is the problem, not the solution. This is exactly when your plan becomes most valuable. Your plan is not influenced by your current emotional state. Your plan was created when you could think clearly. Your plan knows where you are trying to go. Your plan is your compass that keeps pointing toward your destiny even when you cannot see it. When you are lost in the woods, you do not navigate by how you feel. You navigate by your compass. The compass does not care if you are tired. The compass does not care if you are scared. The compass does not care if you are confused. The compass just keeps pointing north. Your plan is the same. It keeps pointing toward your goals, regardless of your emotional weather. In moments of weakness, you do not need to make new decisions. You do not need to figure everything out. You do not need to see the whole path. You just need to look at your plan and do the next thing it tells you to do. The plan says make 10 sales calls. You make 10 sales calls. The plan says write for an hour. You write for an hour. The plan says go to the gym. You go to the gym. You follow the plan like a compass, one step at a time. Even when you cannot see where those steps are leading, you trust that the plan knows something your current emotional state does not know. You trust that consistent action in the direction of your goals will eventually get you there, even if the path is not clear right now. This is how you navigate through the difficult seasons. Not by feeling your way through, not by waiting for clarity, but by trusting your plan and taking the next step it prescribes. Your plan is the wisdom of your best self guiding your worst self back toward your destiny. Each time you choose your plan over your mood, you deposit credibility into your self-trust account. Think of self-trust like a bank account. Every time you do what you said you would do, you make a deposit. Every time you break a commitment to yourself, you make a withdrawal. The balance of this account determines how much you believe in your own ability to achieve your goals. When you wake up and your mood says stay in bed, but your plan says get up and work, you are at a decision point. If you choose your mood, you make a withdrawal from your self-trust account. You prove to yourself once again that you cannot be counted on when things are hard. You reinforce the identity of someone who gives up when it gets uncomfortable. But if you choose your plan, you make a deposit. You prove to yourself that you are reliable. You demonstrate that your commitments matter more than your comfort. You reinforce the identity of someone who follows through. And this deposit is value that extends far beyond that one decision. These deposits accumulate. The first time you choose your plan over your mood, the deposit is small. You prove something to yourself, but there is still doubt. You might think, well, I did it today, but can I do it tomorrow? Can I do it for a week? Can I do it for a month? The balance in your self-trust account is still low, but you keep making deposits day after day, week after week. You choose the plan when you are tired. You choose the plan when you are discouraged. You choose the plan when it would be so much easier to quit. Each choice is another deposit. Each choice is more proof. Each choice is building a reserve of self-trust. Eventually, you have made so many deposits that your self-trust account is full. You know without question that you are the kind of person who keeps commitments. When you set a goal now, you believe you will achieve it because you have proven to yourself over and over that you do what you say you will do. This unshakable self-trust changes everything. People with low self-trust have to constantly question themselves. Can I really do this? Will I actually follow through? Do I have what it takes? But people with high self-trust do not waste energy on those questions. They know they will follow through because they have a track record that proves it. This frees up mental energy to focus on the work instead of doubting themselves. Every choice matters. Every time you stick to your plan when you do not feel like it, you are building something more valuable than the immediate result. You are building credibility with yourself. You are building the foundation of self. Trust that everything else in your life will rest on. Choosing comfort over commitment does not just cost you one day. It rewires your brain to accept quitting as normal. When you choose comfort over your commitment, you might think it is just one day. You might tell yourself it does not really matter. You will get back on track tomorrow. One missed workout, one skipped work session, one broken promise to yourself. What is the big deal? But it is a much bigger deal than you realize because of how your brain works. Your brain is a pattern recognition machine. It is constantly looking for patterns in your behavior and then automating those patterns to save energy. Every time you do something, you create a neural pathway. The more times you repeat that behavior, the stronger that pathway becomes. Eventually, the pathway becomes so strong that the behavior becomes automatic. When you choose comfort over commitment, you create a pathway. Your brain recognizes the pattern. When things get hard, we quit. When we do not feel like doing something, we do not do it. When we are uncomfortable, we prioritize comfort over our goals. This pathway starts to form. And if you repeat this pattern, the pathway gets stronger. Pretty soon, quitting is not even a conscious decision anymore. It is just what you do automatically when things get hard. You do not even think about pushing through. You do not even consider following through. Your brain has been wired to choose comfort. So that is what you do without thinking about it. This is why people who quit one goal tend to quit the next goal too, and the one after that. It is not that they are weak or flawed. It is that they have wired their brain to accept quitting as the normal response to difficulty. They have practiced quitting so many times that it has become their default setting. But here is the good news. The same principle works in the opposite direction. Every time you choose commitment over comfort, you create a pathway. Your brain recognizes the pattern. When things get hard, we push through. When we do not feel like doing something, we do it anyway. When we are uncomfortable, we stay committed to our goals. This pathway starts to form. And if you repeat this pattern enough times, persistence becomes automatic. You do not have to have big internal debates about whether to follow through. You do not waste energy fighting with yourself. Your brain has been wired to keep going, so that is what you do. One choice seems small in the moment, but you are not just choosing about today. You are programming your brain for the future. Choose wisely. Your true character is not revealed in moments when you feel like being great, but in moments when you choose to be great despite feeling ordinary. Anyone can be great when they feel great. When you are well rested, well fed, energized, and inspired, being your best self is easy. You are kind of people because you feel good. You are productive because you feel motivated. You are disciplined because it does not require much effort. This version of greatness does not count for much because it does not cost you anything. True character shows up when you feel ordinary or worse, when you are tired, stressed, frustrated, or discouraged, when being kind requires effort, when being productive requires discipline, when staying committed requires you to push through resistance. This is when your true character is revealed. Think about it. Your coworker is annoying you. You did not sleep well. You are stressed about money. And in that moment, they say something that irritates you. Do you snap at them or do you choose to respond with patience? That choice reveals your character. Being patient when you feel patient is not a characteristic. Being patient when you feel irritated is a characteristic. You are exhausted from a long day. Every part of you wants to collapse on the couch, but your plan says you are supposed to work on your side business tonight. Do you collapse or do you work? That choice reveals your character. Working when you feel energized is not a characteristic. Working when you feel exhausted is character. You have been eating healthy for 2 weeks and you step on the scale and it has not moved. You feel discouraged and you feel like all this effort is pointless. Do you give up and order pizza or do you stick to your meal plan? That choice reveals your character. Eating healthy when you feel motivated is not a character trait. Eating healthy when you feel discouraged is character. Most people only try to be great when they feel like it. And because they only feel like it occasionally, they are only great occasionally. Their results are inconsistent. Their growth is minimal. They wonder why they are not making progress, but it is because they only show up when conditions are perfect. But the people who become truly great, who achieve remarkable things, who build lives they are proud of, they show up especially when they do not feel like it. They understand that the work you do when you feel ordinary is the work that produces extraordinary results. They know that character is built in the difficult moments, not the easy ones. They choose to be great despite how they feel, and that choice, repeated over time, is what separates them from everyone else. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is bridged by doing what your plan requires when your mood says you cannot. Look at where you are right now. Really look at it. Your current fitness level, your current bank account, your current skills, your current relationships, your current business. This is where you are. Now think about where you want to be, the vision you have for your life, the goals you have set, the person you want to become. That is where you want to be. Between these 2 points, there is a gap. For some of you, it is a small gap. For others, it is a massive gap. But regardless of the size, there is only one thing that bridges that gap: action. Consistent action over time in the direction of your goals. There is no other way. You cannot think your way across the gap. You cannot wish your way across the gap. You have to work your way across it. But here is where most people get stuck. They are willing to work when they feel motivated. They are willing to take action when conditions are right. They are willing to put in effort when it feels good. And in those moments, they make progress across the gap. They take a few steps forward. They get a little closer to where they want to be. Then their mood changes. They wake up tired. They feel discouraged. They doubt themselves. And in those moments, their mood tells them they cannot do it. Their mood says it is too hard. They are too tired. They are not good enough. And it is not the right time. And they listen to their mood. They stop taking action. They stop making progress. They might even take steps backwards. This is the pattern that keeps people stuck in the gap forever. A few steps forward when they feel good. A few steps backward when they feel bad. Net progress over months and years equals 0. They are working hard but going nowhere because their effort is inconsistent. The only way to actually cross the gap is to keep taking action even when your mood says you cannot. Especially when your mood says you cannot. Because those are the moments that determine whether you make it or not. Those are the moments that separate the people who achieve their goals from the people who just talk about them. Your plan tells you what actions are required to get from where you are to where you want to be. When you follow that plan, regardless of your mood, you build a bridge across the gap one action at a time. Some days you add a lot to the bridge. Some days you only add a little. But as long as you keep adding to it, you keep making progress. And eventually, you look up and realize you have crossed the gap. You are living the life you used to only dream about, not because you felt like it every day, but because you did what was required, even when you did not feel like it. Your mood is temporary, but your results are permanent. Your feelings will change in an hour, but the consequences of giving into those feelings will last much longer. Stick to your plan. Trust your plan. Follow your plan, because that plan knows where you are trying to go, and your mood does not care. Your mood just wants you to be comfortable and average, and you are not average. You are destined for more.